Watch me say no and make him cry. That's what my girlfriend told her friend about my proposal plans. She invited everyone, including her gym buddy, to see me get embarrassed. So I turned the tables, and she was the one who ended up in tears. My name is Ethan, I am 29, and I work in IT support for a mid-sized logistics company. I live in a busy part of Columbus, and my weeks are pretty routine, office by day, gym after, groceries on Sunday. I am not a big drama person, and I usually handle problems by writing things down and fixing them one by one. My girlfriend is Kara, she is 27, and we have been together a little over 2 years. We do not live together, but we spend most nights at my place, and we share a lot of day-to-day stuff like cooking, laundry, and splitting costs when we travel. For most of the relationship, Kara has been intense in a way I thought was confidence. She is loud, blunt, and competitive about everything. Even small things like who picked the better restaurant. Sometimes it was fun, sometimes it was exhausting, and I kept telling myself it was just her personality. I had been planning to propose this spring. Nothing flashy, just a small get-together with her friends and my sister at a brewery we like. Then I would ask her outside by the river walk. I did not want a public spectacle, but Kara kept hinting she wanted an audience, so I compromised. I booked the space. I talked to her best friend Mia about getting people there. I even asked Kara what kind of ring she liked, and she sent me links like it was a work order. Last week I got home early because my manager let me leave after we finished a big rollout. Kara was not expecting me. Her car was outside, and I could hear voices through my apartment door. I assumed she had Mia over, which was normal, so I came in quietly like I usually do when she is on the phone. They were in my kitchen. Kara had her back to the hallway, and Mia was facing it. Mia saw me and froze. Kara did not notice. She was leaning on the counter in gym clothes, sipping from my water bottle like she owned it. Then she said something that made my stomach drop. Watch me say no and make him cry. She said it like it was a joke she had already told a few times. Mia did this nervous laugh, the kind you do when you are not sure if you should be laughing. Kara kept going, talking fast, excited, like she was planning a party. She said she wanted everyone there. She said it would be hilarious. She even mentioned inviting a guy from her gym who she swore was just a friend, the one she texts at night when she thinks I am asleep. I stood there long enough to hear my own proposal described like a show where I was the punchline. Then I stepped back into the hallway, quiet again, because I needed a second to think without either of them seeing my face. I did not storm into the kitchen. I did not confront her right then. I walked back down the hallway, stepped outside my building, and sat in my car for about 15 minutes. I needed to make sure I had heard what I thought I heard and not some out-of-context joke. I replayed it carefully. Watch me say no and make him cry. Not I might say no. Not I am not ready. It was framed as a performance, and the part that stuck with me was how energized she sounded. Like she was organizing entertainment. When I went back upstairs, I made enough noise with my keys so they would know I was home. Kara came out smiling, kissed me on the cheek, asked why I was early. Mia would not look at me. I said my manager let us off early. I acted normal. I am good at that when I need to be. Kara asked if I still wanted to do the brewery thing next month. That caught my attention. I said yes, unless something had changed. She smirked and said nothing had changed. She just wanted to make sure I was still planning something special. That word special felt different after what I heard. That night she fell asleep quickly. I stayed awake and went through everything logically. First, I was sure she believed I was going to propose. I had not said it directly, but it was obvious. Second, she had enough detail to tell Mia where and roughly when. That meant she had either guessed correctly or gone through my messages. Third, she specifically mentioned inviting her gym buddy, Aaron. I have never liked the dynamic between them. She calls him competitive and fun. He comments on her posts constantly. I did not want to accuse her of anything without proof. So I checked something simple. I logged into the brewery booking portal. The reservation confirmation email was marked as read from earlier that week. I had not opened it since booking. Kara knows my laptop password because I never thought I needed to hide it. That meant she had seen the date and time. The next morning I tested something small. I told her I might need to move the event to a different weekend because of work. She immediately pushed back and said that weekend was perfect and I should not change it. Too quick. Too firm. Like she had already built something around that specific day. At that point I was not confused anymore. I was being set up. And the only question left was whether I would walk into it or change the script entirely. I am not someone who enjoys revenge. I prefer clean exits. But this was different because she was not quietly unsure about marrying me. She was organizing a public humiliation and calling it entertainment. If I simply canceled the proposal and broke up with her privately, she would spin it. She would say I got scared or that I overreacted to a joke. And the people she invited would never know what the plan actually was. So I decided on one principle. I would not embarrass her with lies. I would only use the truth. First, I confirmed the guest list. I texted Mia separately and asked who Kara was planning to invite. I framed it like I wanted to make sure everyone important to her was included. Mia hesitated in her replies, but she named the usual group and then mentioned Aaron. She added a laughing emoji and said Kara thought it would be iconic. Iconic. That word told me this was about attention, not uncertainty. Second, I adjusted the plan. I kept the brewery booking. I kept the date she was so protective of. But I called the manager and asked if I could use the small side room instead of the open patio. I said it was for a private announcement. He agreed. I also asked if I could connect my laptop to their TV screen for a short slideshow. He said yes as long as it was appropriate. I started compiling screenshots. Not of private messages between Kara and me. I was not interested in airing our relationship details. I saved the confirmation email she opened. I saved a screenshot of her text to Aaron where she said you better not miss this. I had access because she once logged into her Instagram on my tablet and never logged out. I know that sounds invasive, but I did not dig for months of history. I only looked at the weeks surrounding the event she was orchestrating. I also recorded a short voice memo the next time she joked in front of me about how funny public proposals were when they went wrong. She did not know I hit record. She said imagine if someone said no in front of everyone. That would be brutal, but kind of amazing. By the end of the week, I was not angry anymore. I was calm. I had clarity. She wanted a show. I decided I would give her one. Just not the one she expected. The week leading up to the brewery event felt strange. Kara was in a noticeably good mood. Not affectionate in a warm way, but charged. She kept making comments about how excited she was for everyone to get together. She even bought a new dress and made sure to tell me it was something memorable. That word stuck with me. I did not confront her. I treated her normally. I went to work, came home, cooked dinner, went to the gym. If she noticed any shift in me, she did not say it. A few times she casually asked if I was nervous about the upcoming night. I told her I was focused on logistics. That answer seemed to disappoint her a little. I think she wanted to see me anxious. 2 days before the event, I confirmed the tech setup with the brewery again. I brought my laptop in early and tested the screen connection. The manager showed me how to switch inputs quickly. I kept the slideshow simple. No dramatic music. No long speeches typed out. Just timestamps, screenshots, and a final slide with a short statement. I also made one more adjustment. I removed the ring from my desk drawer and returned it. I had purchased it from a local jeweler, and because it had not been resized yet, they allowed the return within 30 days. I did not tell anyone. That was not a dramatic gesture. It was practical. There was no reason to keep a symbol for something that was not happening. The day of the event, Kara insisted on riding separately because she wanted to arrive with Mia. She said it would make the surprise more authentic. That confirmed everything. She wanted to watch me walk into what she believed was my own trap. I arrived early, greeted the guests as they trickled in. A few of them hugged me and said they were excited. I watched their faces carefully. None of them looked like they were expecting cruelty. They looked like they were expecting romance, which told me Kara had not told everyone the full version of her plan. Aaron showed up 10 minutes later. He shook my hand with a grin that felt performative. Kara walked in behind him, laughing too loudly at something he said. She kissed me on the cheek and whispered, "Do not chicken out." I smiled at her and told her I would not. And for the first time all week, that was completely true. Once everyone had a drink, I stood up and thanked them for coming. I kept my tone steady and casual. I said I appreciated them taking time out of their Saturday. Kara was watching me closely, almost vibrating with anticipation. She reached for Aaron's arm at one point and squeezed it like she was bracing for impact. I said I had planned something important for tonight. A few people cheered. Someone pulled out a phone to record. Kara covered her mouth in what looked like fake nerves. If I had not known better, I might have believed she was genuinely overwhelmed. Instead of getting down on one knee, I walked over to the TV and connected my laptop. I said before I move forward, I want to make sure everyone here understands the full picture. There was some confused laughter. Kara's smile faltered just slightly. The first slide was simple. A screenshot of my brewery reservation confirmation. Date and time clearly visible. I said I booked this weeks ago because I thought tonight would mark the start of something permanent. The second slide showed that the confirmation email had been opened from my device earlier that week while I was at work. I explained calmly that I had not accessed it, which meant someone else had. A few people shifted in their seats. Kara crossed her arms. The third slide was a screenshot of Kara's message to Aaron. You better not miss this. It is going to be hilarious. I did not editorialize. I just read it exactly as written. There was a noticeable silence now. No more cheering. No more phones raised high. Then I played the short audio clip from my phone. Her voice, clear enough. Imagine if someone said no in front of everyone. That would be brutal, but kind of amazing. Kara stood up and said I was being dramatic. She tried to laugh it off. She said it was sarcasm and that I was twisting things. I let her speak for about 10 seconds. Then I said the one sentence I had practiced. You told your friend you wanted to watch me say no and make him cry. The room went completely still. And for the first time that night, she did not look excited. She looked cornered. Kara's first instinct was to go on offense. She said I was invading her privacy. She said everyone jokes about proposals. She said I was insecure and blowing harmless comments out of proportion. The tone she used was sharp and dismissive, the same tone she uses when she thinks she can overpower a conversation by talking faster than everyone else. I did not argue with her. I did not match her volume. I simply asked one question. If it was a joke, why did you insist I keep this exact date and invite Aaron specifically? She opened her mouth, then closed it. She pivoted. She said Aaron was just a friend and that she invites him to everything. Aaron shifted uncomfortably and looked at the floor. That reaction said more than anything he could have said out loud. Mia finally spoke up. She said quietly that Kara had told her it would be funny to see me embarrassed in front of everyone. The word funny hung in the air like something sour. A couple of Kara's other friends started whispering to each other. The mood had completely changed. Kara turned on Mia immediately, accusing her of betraying her. That was the moment I felt certain about my decision. Instead of taking responsibility, she looked for someone else to blame. Not once did she say she was sorry. Not once did she say she changed her mind about marrying me. Her focus was on controlling how she looked in front of the group. I stepped back to the center of the room and spoke clearly so there would be no confusion. I said I had planned to propose tonight because I believed we were building something stable. I said I am not perfect, but I do not treat serious commitments as entertainment. I said if she had doubts, we could have discussed them privately like adults. Then I said I will not propose to someone who sees my vulnerability as a performance opportunity. There was no yelling when I said it. No theatrics. Just a statement of fact. Kara's face changed from anger to something closer to panic. She realized the narrative she expected was not happening. There was no moment where she got to laugh and reject me. Instead, she was standing in a room full of people who now understood she had planned to humiliate her boyfriend for attention. And for the first time since I have known her, she had nothing clever to say. The silence stretched longer than I expected. A few people started putting their phones down. Not because they were bored, but because this was no longer a celebration. It was a reckoning. Kara looked around the room like she was trying to calculate who was still on her side. She tried one more angle. She said I was humiliating her on purpose. She said I could have handled this privately. That part was almost convincing until you remembered the original plan involved me on one knee in front of the same audience. I answered that calmly. I said if she had doubts or second thoughts, a private conversation would have been appropriate. I said what I overheard was not doubt. It was planning a spectacle. And if she wanted an audience for that, then transparency in front of that same audience was fair. Aaron finally spoke, which surprised me. He said he did not realize it was that serious. He claimed he thought she was exaggerating. He avoided eye contact with both of us. I did not engage him. He was not the core issue. Kara's composure cracked then. Her eyes filled up, and she accused me of setting her up. She said I went through her messages to find something to weaponize. I corrected her once. I said I did not search for something to hurt you. I confirmed something you were already proud enough to tell other people. That landed. Because it was accurate. A couple of her friends quietly gathered their things. Not in a dramatic walkout way, just in a way that signaled discomfort. Mia came over to me and said she was sorry. I told her she did not owe me anything. She had not orchestrated this. I closed my laptop. I did not drag it out. I said clearly that there would be no proposal tonight. I said I would be ending the relationship effective immediately. I also said I would expect her key to my apartment returned by tomorrow and that I would coordinate picking up any of her remaining belongings at a neutral time. No insults. No raised voice. Just logistics. Kara started crying fully then. Not loud sobbing, but the kind that comes when someone realizes control is gone. She asked if I was really throwing away 2 years over a joke. I told her I was ending it over intentional disrespect, not humor. Then I stepped away from the center of the room and let the evening dissolve on its own. I did not stay to argue. Once it was clear the relationship was over, there was nothing productive left to say. I thanked the brewery manager, settled the bill for the room, and left. A few of my friends followed me outside to check in. I told them I was fine and that I appreciated them coming. I did not need a group debrief in the parking lot. I just needed quiet. On the drive home, Kara called me 3 times. I did not answer while driving. She texted that we needed to talk immediately. I replied once. I said we can talk tomorrow afternoon in a public place to exchange keys and personal items. I kept it structured on purpose. When I got home, I gathered everything of hers that was clearly identifiable. Clothes, shoes, toiletries, a few books. I put them in 2 boxes by the door. I also changed my laptop password and removed her access from my streaming accounts. Not out of spite, just basic boundaries. About an hour later, she showed up at my apartment. She still had her key. She knocked, not aggressively, but insistently. I opened the door halfway and stepped outside into the hallway so she would not walk in. She looked different, less composed, mascara smudged, voice shaky. She said I blindsided her. I reminded her that I overheard her planning to humiliate me days earlier. That is not a blindside. That is a reaction. She tried another tactic. She said she panicked because she felt pressured about marriage and handled it badly. That was the first semi-reasonable statement she had made all night. I acknowledged that fear is normal. I said public humiliation is not. She asked if we could just cancel the engagement idea and keep dating. That was the clearest moment for me. If she could casually downgrade something that serious without addressing the disrespect, then we were not aligned on fundamentals. I told her no. I said I need a partner who protects me in rooms I'm not in, not someone who turns me into content. She started crying again, this time quieter. I handed her the 2 boxes and asked for my key. She hesitated for a second, then placed it in my hand. That was the last time she stood in my hallway as my girlfriend. The next morning, I did not wake up devastated. I woke up clear. There is a difference. I was not mourning a future anymore, because the version of the future I had imagined depended on mutual respect. Once that foundation was gone, there was nothing abstract left to grieve. Kara started texting around 7 a.m. First, it was long paragraphs about how embarrassed she felt. Then it shifted to anger. She said I made her look manipulative. She said I could have talked to her privately and spared her reputation. I read every message once. I did not respond. Around 9 a.m. she called. I let it go to voicemail. She left 2 messages. In the first, she sounded tearful and said she loved me and had just been scared. In the second, she sounded irritated and said I was overreacting and punishing her. That back and forth confirmed what I already understood. The narrative kept changing depending on what she thought would get a response. It was not about accountability. It was about regaining control. By noon, I made a decision that I probably should have made months earlier when smaller red flags showed up. I blocked her number. I blocked her on Instagram, Facebook, and any platform where she could contact me directly. Not as a dramatic gesture. As a boundary. I also sent one final email before blocking her there too. It was short and factual. I said I do not wish you harm. I do not wish you humiliation. But I will not stay connected to someone who planned to publicly degrade me. I asked her not to contact me further. After that, I removed her from the emergency contact form at work and updated my lease file to reflect that she no longer had authorized access. Again, not revenge. Just cleanup. She tried to reach out through a mutual friend that evening. The friend texted me saying Kara wanted closure. I replied once. I said closure happened at the brewery. There is nothing left to clarify. Since then, my phone has been quiet. And the silence feels stable, not lonely. Which tells me I made the right call. It has been 3 weeks since the brewery night. I am back to my normal routine. Work during the day, gym in the evening, groceries on Sunday. The difference now is that my space actually feels like mine again. No tension. No low-grade competition over nothing. Just quiet. A few mutual friends reached out individually. Most of them were not aware of what Kara had planned. They told me they were uncomfortable when everything unfolded, but respected how I handled it. I did not fish for validation. I just listened. What mattered to me was that the truth was visible without me having to exaggerate anything. I heard through someone else that Kara has been telling a revised version of the story. In her version, she was joking and I overreacted publicly to hurt her. That is predictable. I am not chasing down every retelling to defend myself. The people who were in that room saw what happened. That is enough. The biggest shift for me has been internal. I realized I ignored smaller signs because they did not cross a hard line yet. The competitiveness, the way she would tease me in front of others, and then say I was too sensitive if I pushed back. I always corrected it in the moment, but I did not step back and evaluate the pattern. The proposal situation forced clarity. Once I heard her describe my vulnerability as entertainment, the decision was straightforward. I did not need to argue for weeks. I did not need couples therapy to unpack basic respect. I needed to leave. Blocking her was not about anger. It was about preventing the cycle from restarting. No late-night apologies. No dramatic reconciliation attempts. No slow erosion of the boundary I set. If there is anything I would tell someone in a similar situation, it is this. Pay attention to how your partner talks about you when they think you are not listening. That is usually the most honest version. I was ready to get on one knee that night. Instead, I stood up for myself. And the only person who ended up crying was the one who thought it would be funny to watch me do it.